Hello and welcome back to another episode of Skids and Donuts, where today we are going to be carb swapping the Volvo 240 again. Now by again, I mean it's got a Weber 38 DGAS in it, or DGAS. It was used for banger racing and it's missing a bunch of parts of it. Now I did buy that used and it did come with the intake and I brought it for 100 quid. Brand new, as a full kit, that would have cost about £1,000. I'm not happy about paying that, so I brought a really crappy Chinese one, which isn't my best idea. So let's open the box and I'll show you what I've got. Now this did only cost about 80 quid. And obviously it's a cheap Chinese unit, I get it. Possibly unreliable. We'll find out, that's the whole point of this. Let's find out together. You get a few adapters and an extra choke by the looks of it. And the actual unit itself. No instructions because you're supposed to know what you're doing. I don't really. On first inspection, it's very, very light. I'm presuming it's not, well, it's not OEM quality whatsoever. But what it does have that mine doesn't is these choke flaps and everything else. Mine doesn't even have the, where is it? Mine doesn't even have a choke on it. So there's the current carb. As you can see, there's no choke on it. This is my really poorly made throttle cable for it. It's got vacuum blockers everywhere, but obviously the big important one is the fact it doesn't have the choke flaps and no way to, you know, use the choke. So when it's cold, especially in England, it doesn't start very well, but it does start and it does run. So the concept works. There is the new carb. And just from that alone, you can see what's missing. This will hopefully be my saving grace and allow me to run the car efficiently and tune it with no prior knowledge on how to do it. So let's get to it. I need to replace this with this because I've got a throttle, because I've got an actual cable which goes into there using the old K-Jet system. So I need to attach that to there, and I think that should be good. I don't know, we'll give it a bash and we'll find out. Right, that is off. Oh my god, there's fuel everywhere. I should have thought about that before tipping it upside down. Now for some eagle-eyed viewers or carburettor experts, you may realise there's no fuel pressure regulator here. There was, but it was leaking tremendously. I've since fixed that, I think, but I also don't have a gauge because it's still not arrived after like 30 days. But one last thing on this one, because it's brand new, I want to spray it with a bucket load of carb cleaner. Alright, so that's now cleaned out to the best of my knowledge and ability without taking it apart, which I really don't want to do because, again, I don't know what I'm doing. I'll install it on the Volvo. Hopefully it will start. Let's find out together. Well, that's not good. So, update. It doesn't fit. I suppose that's one thing I failed to check. I've misplaced my vernier caliper, so I've had to use a measuring tape, which isn't as accurate as I want it to be. But these two holes do look like they've been dremeled out somewhat, which is, I don't really want to do that to this. And I'm also wondering, these are a lot smaller, so I'm wondering if that will have any impact. I don't even know if I've got nuts for this size, which look like an 8mm maybe. In this instance, I think I may have to just and live with my actions, but it means I can't get a refund if it doesn't work. So it is what it is. So the good news is, whatever cheap alloy this is, I'm guessing some kind of zinc, it's extremely soft. So I've been filing that for a couple minutes maybe, and it's going through quite easily. So that's an untouched one. That's where I've been slowly going down, and I think that's all I'll need. Maybe a bit more on either side, only these two, and then it should slot in quite nice. Hopefully, we'll find out. Time lapse, baby. Come on. Oh, wrong way. The answer is no. Not yet. Still hair off on each side. So let's crack on with it. It took too long, so I resorted to a 10mm drill bit, and it chewed through this in less than 5 seconds, I'd say, a corner. So hopefully now that's enough to fit. Fingers crossed. Ooh. Oh, beautiful. Good love. Excellent. Right then, just gonna screw it back on, get everything connected, and fingers crossed it works. Now, if you're wondering how I carb swap this, it was a Cage Electronic system, which is known to be quite reliable unless you've let it sit for a prolonged period of time. Some instances being 2 weeks. Some people have said they've started having issues by leaving it. So I got rid of that because mine was sat for 12 years and it was so unreliable how it started, and I replaced so many things. So if you want to know how to carb swap these, it's super simple. You keep the in-tank pump, that's perfectly fine. That runs around 7 psi apparently, and it's a high volume pump. Some people have reported 1 psi, I don't know. Even if it is 1, this runs off 1 psi as well. You can go up to 2 psi, I believe. So, in-tank pump, keep that. Remove the main fuel pump under the car and the accumulator, and just run the fuel line straight from the tank. I went from a 12mm line to a 12 to 8mm adapter. I'll try and put pictures as I go along. And then a fuel line all the way to the front of the car into a fuel filter, and in your case also use a fuel pressure regulator and use a gauge as well, just so you know what's coming through the other side. And that worked. I kept the old Cage injectors in, so there's no air leaks there, and I got a manifold. I managed to get this for 100 quid with the carb. But these brand new, you can still buy them brand new for around 300 quid, which is a bit much for me, but for you it might be perfectly fine. You can buy a whole carb kit for about £1,000 from Classic Carbs UK, I believe. They do genuine Weber, not this cheap Chinese unit I've managed to source off eBay. Overall, it was pretty simple, and if I can do it, so can anybody else. So it is quite straightforward to do. I recommend it if you're having no end of issues with K-Jet and you want rid. One thing I've discovered is do keep both fuses for the fuel pumps in, otherwise your fuel relay won't work. If you want any more questions on that, chuck it in the comments and I'll happily answer as best I can. Do remember I'm no expert with this. I'm just having fun. Something to work with. Whoops. I mean, that kind of works. Again, it's temporary before everybody starts commenting. No, don't do that! You're gonna blow up the entire unit! It's fine. Look at that. Snug as a bug in a rug. I don't have a choke cable yet. Just kind of figuring out the best way to do it. Might just have a switch on the dash that does it. Wire it straight from the battery, fuse it, have a switch, done. And then I can choose when the choke's on and off. But that is installed for all intents and purposes. Apart from the fuel line. I think, guys, we are ready. Taking over. Let's go connect up the battery first. I did buy a battery for it finally as well. It's only the cheapest one I've been to do. But alright, I'm going to go try and crank it over. If it blows up, this video won't be uploaded because I'll be dead. That's a good sign. Yes. So it starts, it just doesn't idle. So I'm going to try and adjust those idle jets. I don't know what I'm doing. I guess I need to open them. Yes, it does still have really bad piston slack. Might adjust this so it's open a little bit more. We'll see. It may also just need choke. So the obvious downside is the piston slap. It is so loud. So it does need a rebuild, an actual engine rebuild, or just pistons and get it bored out. But that is the smoothest as far as idle ever. That's the rest of the car at the minute. Currently deleting the sunroof. any black smoke or anything. Some white smoke from condensation, but that's about it. So the only thing that lets this drivetrain down is the piston slap. That is idling nice and smooth. It's getting up to 10, and we're at, what's that, 800 RPM, 700, 800 RPM. Nice. My fuel gauge doesn't work, even though I've got a brand new sender in it, which is a bit annoying, but well, there you have it, an actual successful video for once. I've gotten somewhere. That is the smoothest I've ever. When I adjusted the old carb, the slightest little tweak, it would just die and then wouldn't start again until you put it back to how it was. It was idling at like 1500 to 2k RPM, constantly going up and down. But to be fair to this little 80 quid unit, it works tremendously well. It's only been the first test run. I'll probably keep updates in the comments if it does leak. I hope you enjoyed the video, and I'll catch you next time where I will be refurbing the steel rims on this car. So keep tuned for that. Catch you in the next one.